Here on Wham Baam Dashcam, we've shown you over 1,000 dashcam videos sent in by our fans, and we serve up 20 new ones every week. Today we're showcasing some of the craziest clips we've ever featured, so buckle up for Wham Baam Dashcam's Worst Drivers of Ohio, Volume 1. This emitter was leaving a grocery store when the driver of a Honda SUV rear-ended her while she was waiting for an opening to turn right.
Jump in! Honda bombed! Honda bombed!
Yep, that's a confirmed Honda bump. Our submitter told us the Honda driver tried to blame her for the collision, but we have no idea what his excuse could have been since he clearly wasn't paying attention. The responding police officer helped them exchange insurance information, but our submitter said she probably won't make a claim since the damage to her Subaru was so minor. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Lloyd was on his way to pick up a friend. When he checked his side view mirrors, he was shocked to see a car flying up on his left that then swerved into him almost as if it was done intentionally. Lloyd's Impala was sent spinning down the highway while he wrestled the steering wheel for control. Eventually, he was able to get the car pointed the right direction and stopped on the shoulder. In the chaos, Lloyd accidentally stopped his dashcam from recording, so the clip ends before we get to see the other driver speed off down the highway. Unfortunately, they still haven't been found. Tia was headed to her mother-in-law's house on her day off. After waiting patiently for a traffic light to turn green, she proceeded with her left turn only to be blindsided by a speeding SUV from her left. The Infiniti SUV flew through a red light and T-boned Tia's Jetta, destroying it in the impact. Witnesses claimed the SUV driver never applied the brakes, but that isn't visible in the dashcam video. After the Jetta was totaled, Tia replaced her VW with a cloud blue-wrapped Tesla Model Y named Cindy. She told us her whole family watches our videos, and thanks to us, most of them have dashcams. Dat Pizza Girl was on her way to get some food after a long night of making deliveries when she watched a pickup driver's colorful mating display while waiting at a red light. The pickup driver definitely got someone's attention, but probably not the someone he had intended. A cop car immediately stopped the pickup for some instant justice while Dat Pizza Girl celebrated. Dat Pizza Girl told us she was previously injured by a reckless hit-and-run driver, and now she never drives without a dash cam. If you need one for your vehicle, check the description for our recommendations. Matt was driving down a snowy Ohio road at about 50 miles per hour when the driver of a Toyota minivan pulled out in front of his Honda Accord. With his foot on the brake, Matt's Accord only decelerated by about 5 miles per hour before he rear-ended the minivan. Say what you want about his speed, but I doubt any of us would be willing to drive home at only 5 miles per hour. When Matt got out to speak with the other driver, he asked Matt, "How f***ing fast were you going?" Matt politely told him he had the whole thing on dashcam and went back to wait for the tow truck to arrive. His Honda Accord was totaled by the impact, and the other driver's insurance provider paid him enough to replace it with a newer one. This submitter was on her way to her boyfriend's house when the SUV ahead of her rear-ended another vehicle. Even though she slammed on her brakes, her Hyundai Elantra slid on the wet road and she wasn't able to stop. In total, 4 vehicles were involved in the pileup, but our submitter was the only one who didn't flee the scene. Sadly, her Hyundai was totaled by the 55-mile-per-hour impact. She's thankful she has since fully recovered from her injuries. Sometimes the cops are the ones who need driving lessons, as our next submitter discovered. Trevor was leaving an auto shop after getting his trailer fixed. While he was waiting to turn onto the road, a trooper from the Ohio State Highway Patrol's Motor Carrier Enforcement Unit almost struck him head-on. Trevor called the State Highway Patrol and reported the incident, including the unit number when he made the report. This submitter was driving along when the driver of a Nissan Versa crossed into his lane, clipping his Honda Fit. The Nissan driver then took off, making this a hit and run. Our submitter followed them for a while before backing off, then contacted the police and gave them his dashcam footage. The police located the offending driver, cited them for the collision, and gave our submitter their insurance information. He sent along a shout out for his son Spencer, a big fan of all the Wham Bam channels. Allison was driving her F-150 when an Infiniti driver merged all the way across the highway and sideswiped her. Allison immediately called 911. The Infiniti driver told her the accident was her fault because he'd been using his turn signal, but she pointed out that a turn signal doesn't give someone the right of way. The Infiniti driver then got his passenger to say that Allison had rear-ended him, but she told him she had video proof of what had really happened. When the cops arrived, they found him at fault and wrote him a citation. This submitter was following traffic through a protected left turn when an oncoming Jeep driver decided that red means go. Whoa. Our submitter honked and swerved to avoid the careless Gladiator driver who went right on going after cutting through turning traffic. Wayne was headed home when he watched a car hauler on the opposite side of the highway lose control and collide with the median barrier. Thankfully, the barrier held, and none of the vehicles on the truck's trailer came free and got launched across the highway. Wayne shudders to think about what might have happened if the same accident had happened less than a mile earlier where there's no concrete barrier. Eric was waiting at a red light when he encountered not one, but two wrong-way drivers coming toward him down a one-way street. Both drivers then turned into active traffic, nearly causing multiple accidents and forcing other drivers to stop for them. Does it seem like one car is chasing the other and they're making illegal maneuvers in an attempt to get away? Post your theory in the comments. Bennett was headed down a neighborhood street that's meant to be shared by traffic going both directions. Note the arrows on the road surface. As he approached an oncoming car, he mistakenly believed the other driver would pull further to the side, and he clipped the back of the Chevy SUV with the front of his Nissan Altima. The impact ripped the front wheel off his Nissan and put it in the shop for a month. When police responded, they cited Bennett for failure to maintain his lane and gave him a ticket for about $150. Fixing Bennett's Altima cost $15,000. He didn't tell us if his insurance provider covered the bill or if he had to pay for it himself. Jake was delivering a pizza when he ended up behind a pickup pulling an RV trailer. He could tell the trailer wasn't going to fit under a train bridge, but the driver decided to chance it anyway.
They're going to hit that top. Oh, there it goes! Oh, whoa!
A rooftop air conditioner was taken off by the train bridge, which Jake told us is famous for claiming a new victim every few weeks or so. It sounds like this bridge needs its own YouTube channel like 11'8". A routine morning dropping off his kids at summer camp nearly resulted in a collision. When a van stopped ahead of Alex, he checked the lane next to him before merging over to go around the van. He didn't know at the time where the Lincoln sedan had come from, but he was thankful for his Leaf's instant torque that saved him from being rear-ended. Reviewing his dashcam footage reveals that the Lincoln driver made an illegal lane change in an intersection. Alex wanted to shout out his son Ezra and wife Delilah, and he thanked us for putting out great content every week. Ryan was headed to a car show following right behind his friend. They took a wrong turn by mistake and ended up behind a red car. Watch what happened after it suddenly stopped in front of them. The red car reversed into the front of Ryan's friend's car. Thankfully, Ryan was able to back up and avoid also being hit, but then the other driver claimed his car's brakes weren't working. The dashcam footage clearly shows the red car was shifted into reverse before backing up. The other driver then left the scene. Ryan is confident this was an insurance fraud attempt. Ryan pointed out the red car had a broken window and was in terrible condition and had a temporary license plate. What do you think? Was this an attempt at insurance fraud? Remember Ryan's video we showed you of his friend being backed into while they were both headed to a car show? Well, his friend sent us his dashcam footage of the same incident.
Where are we going? Whoa! He's still going back.
As far as I remember, this is the first time we've seen the same collision from multiple dash cams on this channel. Logan told us he fixed the damage to his car himself for $27 US after telling the other driver it was no big deal. Joseph was driving down a snow-covered Ohio highway when he was nearly sandwiched between two semi-trucks when one swerved to avoid hitting a car that was losing control. The Dodge Charger had started sliding, prompting the driver of the red semi to swerve left. But Joseph had another semi passing him on his left and had nowhere to go. Thankfully, he managed to avoid contact with either truck. KMB doesn't have a dash cam, but after he was nearly sideswiped by a white SUV, he used his phone in a dashboard mount to film out of his windshield while he continued to drive. While KMB followed the white SUV, he watched it hop curbs and drift over lane lines while his wife called the police. After nearly running a red light, the driver of the white SUV backed into KMB's Kia Soul before driving off again. Eventually, a police car pulled up behind the white SUV with the party lights on, but it still took her a while to pull over. Once she did, she backed into the cop car before another one pulled in front of her, blocking her in. KMB told us the driver was arrested by the police and he suspects she was intoxicated. Thankfully, the damage to his Kia was minimal. By the way, a phone in a dashboard mount is a great tip if you don't have a dash cam. Just remember that you'll need to start recording every time you drive and delete the old footage when your phone fills up. Mitch was in a drive-thru, waiting patiently with his fiancée Chloe for their turn to order. Evidently, the guy driving the Jeep Cherokee behind them couldn't wait any longer. Actually, rear-ending Mitch's Chevy Colorado was a case of pedal misapplication, which is when a driver means to apply the brakes but accidentally puts their foot on the accelerator instead. Thankfully, in this case, there was no damage to either vehicle and nobody was injured. Jordan sent us a video from a dashcam in a concrete mixing truck. He was driving down a highway when he was suddenly cut off by a reckless Jeep driver. Yikes! Jordan was glad his truck wasn't fully loaded, or else it would have been a collision. He also pointed out a cop car that drove past soon after. Perhaps he'd been in pursuit of the Jeep, but we'll never know for sure. Joe was waiting at a red light after passing a Ford Focus stopped in the road with its hazard lights on. He noticed it began moving again before it suddenly rear-ended his Honda HR-V. After the collision, the Focus driver left the scene. Thankfully, Joe was able to flag down a passing police officer and give her a description of the vehicle. Police located it under 5 minutes later and arrested the driver for DUI. Sadly, the driver was uninsured, but Joe has uninsured motorist coverage through his own insurance provider. He was able to get his vehicle repaired, but it took almost 4 months in total. Bobby was pulling into a gas station when the driver of a pickup truck nearly hit him head-on. Bobby's dashcam footage reveals the pickup driver had been looking the other way and had his hoodie pulled up, blocking his peripheral vision. Thankfully, he noticed Bobby's Volvo and stopped just in time. Bobby told us he continued to pump his gas, as did the pickup driver, but the guy never acknowledged him or apologized for his error, acting instead like nothing had happened. Jordan was headed to a restaurant for dinner when he had to slow down for traffic ahead of him. The driver of the Mercedes behind him evidently didn't notice he was slowing down. Both drivers pulled over, but when they assessed the damage, it was so minor that they decided not to exchange information or call the police. Thankfully, nobody was injured in the collision either. Ted was making a DoorDash delivery when the driver of a pickup truck rolled coal on his Toyota Corolla. Unless there's something that happened before the footage Ted sent us, we have no idea why the pickup driver felt this action was necessary. Maybe he just felt the urge to compensate for his own inadequacy in some other area. I guess we'll never know.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon man. Please support the show.